Hey guys, what's up? It's Rygar the Destroyer, and today we're doing another episode of the Q&A series. Now, as always, if you have a question that you'd like me to answer in next week's video, go ahead and throw it down in the comment section below, and make sure to wait till the end because I ask you guys a question that we'll talk about next week. So let's go ahead and jump on in. The first question comes from Mr. McNugget2, and they ask, for the next Q&A, do you think that $35 is a good price for Phase 1 Commander Fox from the Clone Wars? Now, these types of questions are ones that I get a lot in the comment section on all of my videos, and they're ones that I don't usually like to answer. It's not that they're a bad question or anything, it's just I think that the value of an item is more complicated than just, you know, is it worth it or not? And let me explain that. So $35, I imagine, is probably about on the market price for Commander Fox. You know, I didn't actually check or anything, but I imagine it's about right for those types of figures, especially the Clone Troopers. A lot of them are very desirable. But I never like to say it is or is not worth it because, you know, for me, paying $35 for one 3 3/4 inch figure, doesn't matter what it is never worth it to me personally. I try not to ever spend more than $10 on any 3 3/4 inch figure. It doesn't matter what it is. I only spend that amount on that type of figure. But that's because I value money in a specific way. Now, I don't know what your situation is. $35 might not mean anything to you. So it might be worth it for you to buy that figure if you wanted it at $35. And I guess one way I look at it as well, hopefully this answers your question, is that for me, I paid over their original retail value for all 7 Republic gunships that I have purchased for my collection. And I did that because those vehicles really mean a lot to me. They're pretty much my favorite thing that Hasbro has ever released for Star Wars, for the Star Wars lineup. So I would just ask yourself, you know, does this figure, Commander Fox, mean enough to you that you want to spend $35 on it? That's usually how I look at it. And I think that's a pretty reasonable way to make sure that you're always happy with the items that you add to your collection. So anyway, I know that that was a kind of a rambling long answer, but hopefully it answers your question here. The next question comes from Ufergang101. They ask, for the next Q&A, do you have any Marvel toys? I do not. So just in general, there's nothing wrong with Marvel. Like, I enjoy the movies and I like superheroes and stuff, but I'm just not that into it where I would buy any collectibles for it. The last question here comes from DR, and they ask, if Hasbro released a new Republic gunship, would you buy it? 100% yes. Like I said earlier, I've got all 7 of the releases that they've done before. Nothing would stop me from buying an 8th one. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of a sucker for the gunship a little bit. It doesn't matter how much it costs. I would have to buy it. So anyway, last week I asked you guys if there were ever any items that you held in your hand or looked at that you regretted buying. And the first response here comes from my friend Flying Pencil. And he says, to answer your question, I regret not buying the Lego Obi-Wan ship. It was in stores around the same time as Revenge of the Sith, and it was in theaters, and now you can't buy it in stores. It's on Amazon now for over $200. Ouch. Yeah, Lego, I don't know what it is about Lego. It always holds its value or goes up in value. It's crazy. I've never seen any type of collectible that basically never has any misses at all, or at least from what I've seen as a person who doesn't collect a lot of Lego. The next response comes from Jack Frizzello, and they say, I was in stores and was holding the Credit Collection Cara Dune in my hand. Oh, I feel this one. But I decided not to buy it. This was before she got fired and everything. I have a very similar experience with the Black Series Cara Dune figure. I think the first release for Cara Dune was gonna come out in spring of 2020, I think. Don't quote me on that, but it was around that time, I think. And I found a listing for it on Amazon, and it was like $24.99 or something, and that's kind of like on the upper end of what I usually pay for a Black Series figure, and I was like, I don't know if I like the character enough, so I passed on it the first time. And then now that they've re-released the figure, they canceled all of the pre-orders for it. So yeah, I definitely feel that one, because the figure is insanely expensive now, like ridiculously expensive, not worth it at all. It kind of makes me wonder, did Hasbro put all of the Cara Dune figures in a crate and then put it in the warehouse from the end of Indiana Jones? Because they had to have produced all of these figures for them to be ready for store shelves before they decided to cancel it. It's just kind of a crazy thing. I kind of am wondering to myself if, you know, in 10, 15 years, there will be a whole bunch of them being sold, like legit Cara Dune figures being sold on like Alibaba or something, because like somebody bought out like a huge like overstock warehouse or something. We'll just have to wait and see. But for the time being, no way I'm paying $250 for a Cara Dune action figure, no way. Milky Skywalker responds with, I passed up on a 12-inch vintage Darth Vader figure with the cape for $10 about 4 years ago at a toy shop swap, and you're kicking yourself for it. And yeah, I have a very similar experience with the 12-inch vintage figures as well. I passed up on the Chewbacca from the same lineup, mostly because I didn't know a whole bunch about those figures at the time. And now looking back, I'm like, man, I should have just trusted my gut and picked it up. But anyway, yeah, that $10 is insane for those vintage figures, especially for how cool they are as well. Mr. McNugget 2 says, where I live, there's only one comic book shop and all of the flea markets are trash, so my answer is nothing. And you're very, very lucky to have never had this situation. It's one of those things where it really sucks as a collector to know that you should have bought something, but you didn't. It's really painful. I guess it's a little bit of that fear of missing out situation. But anyway, I guess just count your blessings there. Hopefully it doesn't happen to you at some point in the future. So anyway, my question for y'all next week is, what vehicle, 3 3/4 inch vehicle, do you think Hasbro should either redo or re-release for their current vintage collection lineup? Let me know down in the comments section below. And thank you guys so much for your comments and questions. I always have a ton of fun making these videos, and I really couldn't do it without you guys. So anyway, thank you guys so much, and I guess I'll see you later.